This is Jordan Perruzza, and you're listening to Vibe 105.
This is Vibe Talks, exclusively on Vibe 105.
Hey everybody, this is Giancarlo Aulino reporting for Vibe 105 with a Vibe Talk segment, and I'm happy to be joined by my guest today who's going to be talking about his exciting move over to the CPL. He is a striker for the Halifax Wanderers. He's Jordan Perruzza. How you doing, Jordan?
How's it going? Very good.
I'm doing great. And Jordan, this is an exciting time for you coming over to the CPL. You're on loan now from TorontoFC. Can you just explain to our listeners who aren't really familiar with the process, how did the whole loan come about from you from TFC to Halifax?
I mean, it's a long process. I've been in a position where I've been fighting for opportunity and minutes at Toronto for the last 2 years, I'd say. And just obviously every day it's not the easiest of challenges to go into training and be in an environment where there's no guarantees in terms of what each match day would look like, if you're going to be on the roster, if you're going to be on the bench, if you're going to be starting. So there's been so many challenges over the last 2 years where I was just got to a point where I was looking for a place that would benefit me and I'd find a real rhythm to end off the season, because last season I was kind of debating between what would be best for me, and I thought that would be staying at TFC and trying to earn my opportunities. And I was following the same type of path this year, and I felt like I needed to just get a little bit of a change of scenery to have a new challenge. And that's what made the decision.
And going to the CPL, did you have input, let's say, because I know you went down to TFC 2 and you get called up, so you bounce around from both those teams, but that's in-house type of thing with TFC. So when the offer is presented, did you have input of where in the CPL you wanted to go, or was it TFC that came to you, the management, and asked you if you'd be all right with being loaned out to Halifax?
I mean, there was open discussion between myself and Jason about, what the best situation would be for me. I mean, I was looking for something specific where I would feel like it would benefit me and I could benefit the club as well. And obviously with Toronto FC's best interests in mind. So, I mean, I've spent numbers of seasons playing minutes with the second team, and I was looking to get out of my comfort zone and step away from, playing in my backyard and being with family. I wanted to really be in an environment where I'm focusing only on football, and that's what helped me make my decision. And new opportunity, new challenges.
And Halifax now, they have quite the fan base over there. Every game that they play at Wanderers grounds, it's fun. They have a lively atmosphere. It's packed with fans. So did that make that decision a little bit easier for you, that you're going into a passionate environment like that?
Yeah, obviously I wanted to be in a big soccer community, big football community. And, with the, I came here last year with the first team, and, the atmosphere was amazing when we played here. So with that experience, I knew coming here and being on the opposite side with the fans cheering for you instead would be amazing. And they really push you when you're playing at home here.
That's great. And also Patrice Geyser coming from Vaughan over this year. He's having a lot of success with this group, and really you could see some of the influence, like some of the Vaughan players that have come up to Halifax now. So does that make you kind of feel right at home there, that you're from Vaughan and you got a group of players that are in a similar situation where they're coming from Vaughan to Halifax?
Yeah, there's, a big group of us all from the GTA out here in Halifax. So obviously it feels like, I'm not too far away.
And what was that first experience like, putting that blue uniform on and going to Wanderers grounds and actually starting in the lineup and getting a feel for the league?
Yeah, exciting. I mean, as I said before, a new challenge, and very excited because I feel like being here, I have a role to play, and that role is important. And I only want to do well for this community and this club while I'm out here.
And in Halifax, I'm sure a few games in now, you're getting a feel for the league, and just the travel obviously isn't really beneficial for teams like Halifax and Pacific. So how have you been dealing with the travel now that you're playing for Halifax?
Yeah, I mean, I've been on one away trip with the team, and I can confidently say it's nothing like traveling with Toronto FC. Extra perks you get traveling with the first team in Toronto is out of this world. So yeah, it's adjusting back to, having to travel commercial and stuff like that. So it's going to take some getting used to, I think.
Has it really hit you like the time zone difference sometimes? Like when you're playing in Hamilton, then you go back, you're an hour ahead. And if you go to the West Coast, then you're talking about like close to 4 hour difference. So has it really hit you yet of this time difference?
I feel like when we have to travel to Pacific soon in a couple of weeks, it's going to be a tough one because, 4 hour time difference. I think the game is at like 7 o'clock their time, which would be 11 o'clock here. So,
oh,
it'll be a big challenge, but that's part of the league, and that's what makes this league so unique. And similar to the MLS, it has that same amount of travel. Maybe not it's a little bit of a different standard, but still, you're just going out there to play football. So it's nothing I'm not used to.
And what would you say about the quality of play in the CPL so far? Did it surprise you? Did you maybe have different feelings going into it or expectations? Has anything changed from those expectations?
I mean, obviously, honestly, I've been impressed and happy that I made this decision because it's a quality league, a lot of quality players. It's very physical. There's not a lot of time when you're on the ball. Challenges coming in, flying hard. Players are athletic, fast. And I think it's a very challenging league, to be honest.
And also, just even going back to your time with TFC early on, like when you signed your first team contract, Greg Vanney was in charge at the time, and you were in a similar spot where you went on loan deals. And I was one of the reporters, asking Greg Vanney his input, like his thoughts, what he'd like to see out of you. He was very complimentary. Then Chris Armas comes in, same thing. Coaches that were complimentary of your skill set. So when you hear that coaches really have you highly touted like that, how does that make you feel as a player?
Obviously, it makes me feel important, and knowing that I have the confidence of the coaches. But I mean, I still want to be playing every week, and that's been the one challenge that I've had in Toronto, where I've never really broken out and earned myself the starting role week in and week out, and that's what made this decision happen again.
And the length of this loan deal, is it for the rest of the year and they reconvene, or is it longer than a year?
No, it's just for the rest of the season.
Rest of the season. That's good. And after this season comes, will you have, will Halifax be in the running? Like, let's say they offer another loan deal type of thing. Is that going to be something you consider at the end of the year, or training camp with TFC right away?
Well, no idea what next year's going to look like. No idea.
And just want to get your thoughts, because this TFC season, especially even last year, you got a chance to play with fellow Italians there, Federico Bernardeschi and Lorenzo Insigne. And you saw the fanfare it brought on the heels of their Euro Cup win. What was it like playing with them, and what was it like in training, especially with players of that caliber from Europe?
Yeah, I mean, just a dream come true playing with, players that I grew up watching and grew up idolizing. I mean, I watched the 2020 Euro on my couch cheering for these players, almost in tears when we won. And a couple months later, we're on the same field. So yeah, it's been amazing having those experiences with them.
And do they offer any advice to you? Because you're in a position where you're in between them, Bernardeschi on the right wing and Insigne on the left. So what were those like training sessions like? And did they even offer advice to you during that time to help you adjust to playing with them?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're easy players to play with in a way where as long as you make the right runs, they'll find you every time. So um, just being on the same page with them, yeah, things work out easily when they have the ball, especially.
And also, you like knowing Italian, like did they throw any slang at you? Did you have any playful chirps going your way when you're playing with them?
I got amazing relationships with both of them. So yeah, obviously a lot of good discussions, bad discussions, stuff like that.
That's good. And also just yourself as a young player, like I'm sure every team deals with the outside noise coming in, like the hearsay rumors and stuff going on. Obviously with TFC, there's constant discussion of just the morale of the team. Like as a young player, how do you deal with that and just maintain that clear head and focus and continue playing?
I mean, those are the everyday challenges of playing for a massive club. And I think that's what Toronto FC is right now. It's a massive club in a tough situation. So those are just the challenges of, having to keep your head down and focus on what you can control, because there's so much that you can't control in an environment like that. So the most important thing is coming in to training every day, ready to work, ready to improve, ready to impress. And that's all you can control. Everything else you just got to kind of forget about.
Yeah, and just transitioning here on to, I want to get our listeners a better idea of your youth experience, because even before we started recording, you're just telling me of when you see kids at 13 years old, and you were playing for Empoli at 13. So can you just describe the feeling of making that decision at a young age and really betting on yourself in that aspect to go play for a club like Empoli?
I mean, I think without making that decision, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. No one would really know who I am. And I think it's really benefited me and my career. Every other decision is kind of like an effect that it's had on me, where it's just brought good things into my life. Obviously not an easy decision to make at that age, but for me, I was just a hungry, eager young little kid that loved playing soccer, and it's all I knew growing up. And still to this day, it's all I know. It's all I love. So yeah, making the decision, leaving family at that age, I mean, not easy, but the best decision I've ever made, definitely. And my parents, I owe it all to them.
And how did that all come about? Like playing in Vaughan, Woodbridge, like how did the whole offer present itself to play for Empoli?
I was lucky enough to get in contact with someone that had worked with the club before over here in Canada, and he had set up a little trial for me, and I went over there, and lucky enough also so many things went my way where I had my Italian passport, so it made the thing, like everything, so much easier. But I went there and did really well, impressed them, and kind of just took off from there. Literally happened so fast after that.
And what was the ideology of their method of developing players like? And because I'm sure you had experience there and playing here in GTA, so was it different in any way playing under that environment?
I mean, I remember my first couple of sessions when I got there, I felt like I was lost almost, where you think you know what you're doing, and then you get there and you see a whole new world of tactics and positioning, defensive awareness, where growing up, all I knew was get the ball and dribble and shoot and stuff like that. And that's what they teach you at a young age in Canada, compared to maybe now it's changed. It's been a while since I've played youth soccer, so maybe the coaching system might be a little different. But yeah, I mean, it was just eye-opening at that age.
And who are some of the coaches there that like really took you under their wing and try to offer the best piece of advice for you to develop as a striker?
Who were the coaches?
Yeah, that really like you notice were spending most of the time with you and maybe offering you the best advice during that time.
I think the best coach I had while I was there is named Gianluca Falsini. He helped me the most when I was around 15. Helped me a lot, honestly, with movements and when to go, when to check, when to turn, stuff like that.
And at that age where you really already hell bent, like I'm going to be a striker, was there maybe other positions that you found yourself playing at times, maybe try out one time, like maybe as a midfielder or even a defender, and before you became a striker?
Yeah, I mean, I played two positions while I was in Italy. I would play as an attacking mid or as a striker. And I kind of shift in between a number 10 role and a number 9 role. Those are still the two positions that I find myself to be most effective in to this day. And that's where I grew up playing.
It's good. And even there, like as a youth player, I'm sure also the business side of the sport, like an agent, finding an agent, somebody that you can trust with your career. At what age did you really feel the need to get an agent, and just the process? Like, how did you and your family decide on, being represented their paradigm? Like, where was that whole decision made for you?
Man, I feel like that discussion with agents came along once I'd already come back to Canada at around 18 years old. I didn't have an agent my entire time in Italy. Obviously, I'd spoken to agents at that point, but it was nothing serious. I mean, until you sign a professional contract, that there was no need for an agent at the time. And I wasn't on a contract at the time, so there was no agent.
What advice would you give to young players? Because there's kids probably they're already getting offers from an agent. Like, what advice would you give to them of like the right time to get an agent, and how has an agent helped you in your career so far?
I think agents can only, do so much for a person. I feel like you as the player need to make the agent's job easier in terms of their phone will start ringing when you're doing your job on the field. And I feel like everyone looks to their agent when things aren't going well, whereas it should be the opposite, in my opinion.
Good advice. Jordan, just even a couple final questions here. What age did you decide that you really wanted to, become a soccer player, pro, and feel that you were good enough to go on to that next level?
Since day one, honestly. It's all I've ever wanted to be, is be a soccer player. And, the first time I kicked the ball, I might have been 3 or 4 years old. So that day, whenever that day was, that was the day that I made my decision. I want to be a soccer player.
And who made you fall in love with the sport? Like, who are some of those players that you grew up idolizing? He's
on that wall right behind you.
Oh, really?
Francesco Totti is my favorite player.
I like it. Totti, so you're a Roma fan growing up?
No, because my first memory was Italy at the 2006 World Cup. So he was everything for me growing up.
What team did you grow up watching?
Juventus.
Oh, okay.
Grew into the family. I had no decision.
Okay, I'm becoming a bigger fan now. Juventus is good. He's a young kid. So Del Piero, Buffon. What were your thoughts of Buffon? Keeping everyone's childhood alive, and he finally calls it a career. What were your thoughts on Gigi retiring?
On retiring. He's had one of the best careers a goalie could ever have. I mean, he's won every trophy there is to win. So I feel like he deserved to retire a long time ago. Sad to see legends of the game retire, but, at his age, I don't know if I'd be playing anymore.
Yeah, just even the longevity, 45 years old. And he obviously he could have retired after the World Cup and everyone would have been fine. But like yourself, you're seeing Buffon when you were born, like 2001. Buffon at that time was already like 8 years into his career. Is it like kind of surreal that he's retiring when you're a pro at 22?
I bet the whole end of his career were just players saying, "You used to play against my dad," or something like that, for sure.
That's great. And before we wrap up here and let you go, how can our listeners and viewers stay up to date with everything you're doing and follow you on social media?
I'm not very active on social media, so I'm not sure. I mean, just tune into the games, hopefully. You could see my my match day rating, hopefully, and hopefully good things come from there, I guess.
Highly recommend. Encourage all the listeners, tune in to Halifax Wanderers. You'll see Jordan Perruzza get on the score sheet, and hopefully we'll see you back there in the MLS after all the success you have in Halifax and putting in goals there for TFC. Thanks a lot, Jordan.
Thank you so much.
Vibe Talks, exclusively on Vibe 105.